How long will my case take?
Every day.
Yeah.
I get this question every day.
Yeah. And the classic answer is,
it depends.
It depends.
We really need, Trenton, we really need
it depends button.
And a button to do that.
Well, and we say it almost sounds like a joke, but that's the reality. No two cases are alike.
No.
And there are gates and barriers for every case to get through before you can get to the point where it even can resolve. And oftentimes what's driving that isn't necessarily the legal side, but the medical side.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if someone has a long-term injury that requires long-term medical care, surgeries, rehabilitation. It's our job to help define the damages that someone has suffered so that we know what the insurance company actually owes them. It can be impossible to do that sometimes without an adequate amount of time having passed so that we know how someone will plateau with their injury, where they reach what we call MMI, which is your maximum medical improvement. And
yes.
We throw around these terms, but I like to try to explain them. That means when someone's gotten as good as they're going to get.
As good as they're going to get, yeah.
Yeah, if they've healed as much as they're going to, and that could be somewhere below 100%. Oftentimes it is. If you or I suffered a shoulder tear in a car wreck tomorrow, our shoulders would not get back to where they are right now. You would be somewhere below that 100%.
But you're to the point you've exhausted all the medical treatment.
Exactly, but you have to be able to define that, the percentage. And there's no way to do that without getting to that point. And so what a lot of people don't understand is it's actually the medical side that's driving that.
Yeah.
But why don't you talk a little bit about how the legal side could impact that as well?
Yeah, so like you said, it's going to depend on treatment. We're obviously not going to want to settle a case until you have completed treatment. So that could be anywhere from one visit to the emergency room to years. The other is going to be the delay in preparing the file to be sent to an insurance adjuster to try to get a settlement. That is going to involve not only discovery processes of getting information about the accident, whether that be police reports, any other evidence we may be able to accumulate, but also mainly the records and bills from your medical providers. We have to request those, and sometimes it takes months to get those. You know, they're not down in a storage unit or in a file cabinet at the hospital. You know, generally when we request them, they're coming from a document service and a record service, and it can take
basically
time.
You get in line. You send that request,
you get in
line.
line. And unfortunately, a lot of times those requests are lost, misplaced, and we have to resend them. And so that's really the largest time drain that we have to explain to clients, is that we are sometimes at the mercy of the medical request departments or the medical record departments and billing departments to get those records to us. Because just like you said, we don't want to try to settle a case before you're through a treatment. Well, we also can't recommend that you accept a settlement based upon only part of your damages.
Exactly.
So we have to get all those in. But, you know, to answer this question, I usually tell people is obviously it does depend, but upon the completion of treatment, we're still looking at a couple months at the absolute minimum. Even once we accumulate everything and we send it off to an insurance company, again, you step into a line. And those adjusters have to review the file to make an offer, and that takes time as well. So,
and then we negotiate it because we want to get the most money as possible.
Exactly. And then, you know, there's obviously the black swan of litigation that happens every now and again. But if that happens, then, you know, we have to deal with a much longer time frame.
And we call it a black swan, but while it's a small percentage of the overall cases, it happens nearly every day. I think we put 3 cases into litigation just this week, but that's probably a very small percentage of our total cases.
Yes.
But it still happens fairly often. And then once a case goes into litigation, unfortunately that process can take a year. But typically if a case goes into litigation, it's because there's an issue either with causation or with liability, or the medical treatment is so significant that the insurance company is loath to pay the money, so they don't want to write the check. So they're going to they want to take a doctor's deposition, or they want to do something to try to mitigate what they're going to pay. So sometimes they'll just dig in their heels.
It does.
And sometimes, you know, there's a significant issue of liability that needs to be resolved before anyone can resolve it. And it's either compromise, or if we're 100% certain that we can move forward and prove our side of the case, then there's not a reason to compromise. Let's go forward with litigation. So there's lots of reasons to do that. I do say it's a small percentage, but it does
is a
happen.
small percentage. Yeah. But, you know, about this question, it does drastically change the timeline.
It does.
We always say the wheels of justice do move, but they move very slowly.
Yeah.
And everything in the court system and litigation is going to have time deadlines and things like that. So it really does put a lengthen. It literally lengthens the case.
Yeah.
So.